So when you put the plugs back in, you don't need washers. You don't need the
Right.
gaskets in.
Okay, that sounds good.
I have always wanted to be around airplanes. Probably when I was about 4 years old, we lived probably about a mile away from an airport. And that was one of the favorite destinations of doing anything. As soon as I could ride my bicycle, I would ride out to the airport every day. My name is Bob Bailey. I'm the aviation conservator at the Allison Transportation Museum. The day I took my first flying lesson was a pretty memorable occasion. I was 7 years old at the time. It seemed to make a change to really set the pattern of my life after that. And every year on that day, September 29th, I'll try and fly. And it's as much fun now as it ever was. When I made my first solo flight, I had been flying with my father, who was my first flight instructor. We flew that day, we did takeoffs and landings, and I thought I was fairly well prepared to actually make the solo flight. When my father said, okay, why don't you fly it by yourself? I said, well, let's do one more landing just to make sure. The seat where the instructor sat always seems extremely large and empty when you're flying by yourself the first time. Coming back into land, it was a wonderful feeling that I could actually do this by myself. And at the time I was 16 years old, and it was the real beginning of having the responsibility of doing that sort of thing. The only time I did anything outside of flying was when I was in high school working in a grocery store. Other than that, it's always been around airports. My last job as a professional pilot was flying air cargo around the world. On the other hand, another type of flying that I did was air show flying. There's something about doing aerobatics. It's fairly hard work. It's very stimulating in that respect itself. And another type of flying I did was teaching flying. A lot of the other jobs that I've had involved working in the present. In most cases, people really weren't interested in what had happened before. One of the most enjoyable parts is not only working or flying on airplanes, but showing people through the museum or the restoration hangar. Being able to transfer your knowledge on. Some of the people that we meet too are particularly fascinating. There was a woman that came in, it turned out her father had started flying in the early airmail days and went on to become the chief test pilot for Boeing. It was fascinating to meet the person, and at that point you really hated to see them leave because there were so many questions that you wanted to ask. That probably is the biggest part of what I enjoy at the museum. Why I enjoy flying an airplane is a question that as long as people have been flying, they've been trying to figure out. I think it's different for different people. There's certainly a sense of freedom. You can go any place you want. You can move in any direction that you want. It's extremely enjoyable to be that free, to be able to do something that is unlike any other activity that you would have.